Hello guys, Jokester here, bringing you another episode of FTB Unstable. We are up to episode number 36 already, and we're looking for things to do. So I did something. You see, I have a quarry set up over there, and if we look at the map, we've got some cool stuff. Oh, it's up here. It's somewhere up in here, right? Wait, where am I? Yeah, there it is. Right there. The quarry is there, and it's coring this out. Why, you ask? Well, you notice this whole area had been unexplored. It's because I needed new world gen, because we've added a new mod in the pack. And that new mod is big reactors. And you can see there's Yellorium ore in there. Big reactors is now known as, well, if we look up big reactors, it's still ore dictionary to that, but really it's extreme reactors. Okay, so that's Extreme Reactors is the new version of it, and it's been ported to 110. And we played with this in 1.7. If you've ever played with it, it's a lot of fun. It's a really, really cool way of generating pretty decent power. It's nothing like our 83,000 RF per tick of the solar panels that we have, but it's still a lot of fun. And I wanted to get into that today, but we needed some Yellorium, and Yellorium obviously has to be mined from the ground, and we have our quarry now set up in a new area, and I generated new chunks, and it is now coring that out, and you can see it's processing a whole bunch of stuff coming in. I rearranged the way this was set up. I have the importers in here. I have them pulling out of it's going directly into here, and you can see now, if I look at my ores, I have 11,000 iron. I have, just a ton of stuff. It's been working on gold quite a bit. It's almost finished with gold now. Then it's going to move on to one of the other ores. I didn't choose that priority. It just happened to pick that as one of the first things. And so once that finishes up, it'll move on to the next ore. So you can see I've already started some auto crafting because, and you see also in my inventory, I have some of the things. Let's go downstairs here. Oh, another thing I did was I put in, so this is kind of like my cellar with my refined storage. There's a reactor room, my blood magic over there with the altar. See, I put pictures in there. And you can do that very simply. All you have to do is just right click on it, and whatever item you put up in here is it shows up in there, right? Only when you're looking at that. Or I think if you're standing on it, yeah. If you're standing on it, you can see the picture as well. So pretty neat. I don't think I've ever showed that. I've never really needed it. The names are good enough for me, but I want to show you that you can put pictures on there. I also had to upgrade this guy. It was full. A lot of the Pam's Harvest Crafts stuff is coming in now, and all this stuff that I don't have any a trash can over there doing everything like I would typically do for a quarry. So there's a lot of gunk in there. So I had to craft, I think, 3 more 64K in there, and it's doing pretty good now. You can see the bar right there. So let's get into what I did. Let's go down to the new room. And so here's my new room. And so I used some factory block. Here's some other different brand. This is where we're going to put our final reactor. And so what I ended up doing is I chiseled some arches in here. I thought that looked pretty cool. And then these are extra utilities to screens. And you just put your imager file up here. It gives you a imager file name, or imgur, however you want to pronounce it, the hash for it, and it loads that in. So I've got, here's the sunset over here, and this is looking out a different way, and there's a lake over there, and this is the field in the back, and ignore the fact that there's another sun there. And this is the other side, which goes down into the mountains. And so it kind of looks like, I figured the word way deep down, we're at row 52 or Y52, and we wanted to be able to look outside. So there's our pictures outside. Okay. Surprisingly, it took a long time to find the images that would actually work with this. There was a lot of just errors, wrong format, wrong aspect ratio, wrong resolution, and so on, but got that all working. So let's set up the smallest reactor. And so let me talk real quick. Let's look at some of the reactors. The reactor components. And so you see I've made a whole bunch of these reactor casing, and I don't know how many we're going to need, but I just made a whole bunch. That's because I have auto crafting set up. And so if we look at something like Reactor Glass, right, I want to show you something with this. Remember I upgraded to 1.0. And that was in order to get this fluid storage. And with 1.0, there's some good and bad things. The good thing is that it pulls out of your inventory now when it crafts. That's really cool. I love that. I love that. The good side is that it has fluid. The bad side, oh, and the other thing is that I'm going to show you here in a second is that it does multi-threaded crafting. Oh my gosh, is that a dream? Is that such a dream? The bad thing is that all my patterns are invalid now. It says this pattern is a legacy pattern made before Refined Storage 1.0. Please remake. So every single pattern I have in all of these guys, they're all invalid, and I have to remake them, including my Nether Star one. So yeah, big deep breath. I'll have to recreate those, but that's the downside. The upside is that there's some really neat stuff. So if we look at something like the Reactor Glass, let's say I want to make, I don't know, I don't quite need 64. Let's make, yeah, let's make 40. How about that? Let's make 40 of these guys, and we'll watch the crafting monitor here, and you see how 66%. And it's doing this all in parallel. Every single one of these are doing, and I think it's up to a certain limit because you can see some of these are 0. And hoping it will finish here anytime soon. I don't think it's waiting on anything. Oh, it's missing glass. Gotcha. And my glass pattern is invalid. Oh, yeah, that one right there. And so the way we have to do this is, well, this one's completely unused. So I shift right click, I can then put it back in, not that one, that one. And then I get some glass. All right, now if we look at our crafting monitor, now you can see it's going to be crafting all the glass, and it would do it all at once. And the cool thing, see, it's threw them all in there at once. It's no longer just one for one. It's all in parallel. That's really cool. It says I need 40 of them, and so I'm going to craft all those. And it was really cool. I just couldn't stop myself with making these reactor casings because it was just so fun. You just see bam, 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 bam. Everything. It requires these reactor casing core. And if we look at this here, so the recipe has changed a bit. If you remember the old recipe, it now needs this reactor core, and the reactor core is pretty simple to make, right? So you make the reactor core first, then it makes these reactor casings. Well, what it does is it makes all these at once in parallel first, then it makes all these, and oh my gosh, it was, I think I did 64 of them twice, and they just like bam, 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 bam. It was so quick. It was literally within 10 seconds. It finished the whole thing. So that's pretty cool. All right, let's get into making this reactor. So the smallest reactor you can make is a 3x3, and it has to, of course, go up 3, and put that there, and here, and there we go. There's our shell. Now, minimum, we're going to need a reactor controller, and we'll need, I don't know, let's put the power tap over here. This is just the RF power tap. Put that there, and then maybe in the back we'll put a fuel input and waste output. And you'll see we'll get into separating the two ins and outs. And then the last thing we're going to need is we're going to need reactor core. Let's put the glass in here. All right, so that forms the outside edge. And then we'll go up top. And so we have to put the fuel rod in at the very bottom, and then the control rod at the very top. And that forms now the multi-block. You can see it's formed. If I were to take this back out, it unforms. Or if I take any of the blocks out, it unforms and then reforms. And you can see visually, it's pretty cool. This has the control rod mechanism. This is essentially how hot it runs or how much energy it produces is the end result. And so you can go up and down, right? How much it inserts the control rod or disinserts, the less it's inserted, the more output. So if I wanted to throttle it to 90%, power output, I would insert the control rod by 10%, and so on. So this would be, let's say 70% inserted would mean 30% power output. So you can fine tune your reactor that way. And there's actually, if you look at the reactors, there's a computer port, this one right here, and it ties in quite nicely with Computercraft. Oops, Computercraft. And so you can have you know, the computers in here that are sorry, and there's also open computers. Do we have? Yeah, I think we have. Yeah, we have open computers in here. Actually, I could do at open computers, right? And so, yeah, you can also do this as well. And they would adjust those fuel rods to maintain the optimal balance and so on. But frankly, now that it's formed, we have an interface. And this looks very daunting at first, and it's not. It's really very simple. We just have how hot the reactor is, and we don't have to worry about it overheating. It doesn't do that. This is how much RF per tick. That's our key number we want to look at. Here's how many millibuckets per second of Yellorite it uses. And that's effectively how efficient is your reactor. And then this is a multiplier about how reactive the fuel is. We don't really have to worry about that. It does matter when you're designing a reactor, but not so much here. And then whether it's online or offline, and here's graphs associated with it. And here's an internal energy buffer, which holds 10 million. And all we have to do is we have to go over here. Let me grab some Yellorite. I'll just grab one piece for right now. And we'll put that in here. And so this is our input. Here's our output. And so if I were to put that in, it sucks it in. And we can actually see in there, it's got liquid Yellorite in there. And that's pretty cool. If I want to eject it, I can eject it and get it back out. And that comes back out. Same thing with the waste. We don't have any waste produced right now. And this is what you want the port to be configured as. Right now we want it to be configured as both. But when we set up two, we'll set one as input, one as output. So now we've got fuel loaded in there. And you can see in the interface, we've got fuel. If I turn it on, it starts generating RF. There we go. And let's see what it climbs up to. See, it's building up temperature. And so now you can see here's your fuel. Here's your casing heat versus core heat. And then we've got our energy is filling up. So we're generating 59 RF per tick off of this here. It's not too bad. I mean, it's fairly inexpensive. It's just a bunch of coal smelted up to make graphite and some iron and some little bit of Yellorite to make this. And we're generating power. It's not too bad. So I find that very simple. But that's not where we're going to stop. We're gonna take this down. And let's rebuild it with a bigger one. And so we're going to need, let's go here. And so let's get, let's see, reactor. All right, so we have our 39 plus that is 40. We're going to need, I know for sure I'm going to need 9 of these guys. We already have 1, so let's get 8. And then we should have plenty of reactor casings. And of course, it's using some, so we might have to make some more. Let's see, it's making those guys right now. And then we're going to need some of these fuel rods. I'm thinking we're going to need 9 of them. We already have 8. We already have 1, so let's make 8. Yeah, the next tier, I'm thinking that's what I'm going to need. And then we're going to need an extra one. I didn't create recipes for these guys because they're like one-offs, right? You never need to craft a whole bunch of them. And so we've got these guys here. Let's make sure we have everything for the reactor fuel rod. Yeah, it's working. Yeah, it's got that glass. I really need to get a whole bunch of glass in there. And then that way this guy would be instantaneous. So in fact, I'm going to queue that up right now. Let's do that. There, that'll of course be way at the bottom. Yeah, I see. And I'll just work on that later on. And I think that means we're done. I think. Hopefully that didn't, yep. Okay, let's go build us a cool reactor, or a better reactor. So the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to do a 7x7. 4, 5, 6, 7. And if I want, oh, you know what? This would actually be a really cool time to make something else, because I want my builder's wand. And there's, you know, we know this wand right here, or if we look at other wands, we've used this diamond wand, and it actually, when I was building that room, it actually finally ran out of durability. But there's also these unbreakable wands. That would be really nice. It just requires a nether star, and we have nether stars, so there we go. Done. I now no longer, oh, let me throw that in there. I no longer have to worry about that breaking. So, oh, we're gonna need a lot more than that. Reactor, let's grab these guys here. And there we go. And so it's a 7 by 7, and then we're going to go up to same thing. So we're going to do a 7 by 7 by 3. And there's that. Looks good. Okay, so that's what it's going to look like. Now I could set this down in the ground one. I don't really have to. I can if I want to, and then this would be at base level. So now we're going to put some glass in there. We're going to make this look, and you don't have to use glass. You can use regular reactor casing too. I just like the look of glass. And there we go. Good thing is when you break this, it doesn't go away. It comes right back. You don't have to worry about it like normal glass. Now we're putting this all in here, but we'll be taking some out. And then the top will also be glass. But let's fill out what our pattern is going to look like. So we're going to need the fuel rods first, and then the control rods next. Don't need that anymore. Where's my, there it is. Okay. So we can do this in many patterns. I could create a 3 by 3 by 3 or 3 by 3 grid in the middle, right? That's one way to do it. But the concept is we want to maximize the coolant around it. So if I were to do something like this, right? Now we've got all 4 sides have the ability to have cooling. Now we obviously only have, these have to go vertical no matter how tall you make this, so you can only ever have 4 sides, and it has to be touching the ground. So 4 sides maximum, and that maximizes it. That only gets 3 there, right? Or sorry, 2 sides with coolant. So it's not the end of the world. We might be able to better this, but that's the design I like to do. And let's throw these on top, because we know these always have to go on top of the fuel rods. Right, and then we will need, let's see. So I have this up here. This kind of goes right underneath my, if you look here, it's right underneath my refined storage, and there's power tap right there. So let's put the power tap like right here. Okay. And we'll put that in there. And then, I mean, we come down right here, so it'd be really nice to put the controller right here. So let's put the controller, and then, I mean, we could do, let me think, where is other things? I mean, it doesn't really matter, but let's try to put, maybe we'll also have the input over here and the output. Yeah, let's do them right next to each other so you can kind of see what they look like. This is all just a matter of preference. So we'll have an input on the left, and we'll change this to be an output. See how it changes to blue? So now we've got input and output. And if I were to grab some Yellorite, just grab these 4 right here. There's also another bug where if you remember, the gold, right, has all 3 of them. I have 1.7 K of blocks of gold and 15,000 ingots and 140,000 nuggets. That's really just this many ingots, or this many, or this many. It's not cumulative. With Yellorite, it is cumulative. This is only 113 blocks plus 4. It doesn't show both of them for whatever reason. I don't know if that's a bug with refined storage or with the drawer mod, but that's it is what it is. Okay, now the only thing, you notice it's not formed yet. We still have to put in stuff. So let's put in some glass. And because, you know, we like, oops, floating here. Get into it. There we go. I'll clean that up in a second. There, and in theory, my builder's wand, no, it wouldn't. It wouldn't, because, all right, so it just formed. Oh, that's another thing I noticed. I don't remember if this was there before, but see how it's unformed if there's any other reactor block near it, and now it forms. So it's saying it's an invalid structure. So let's go over here to the controller. We can now look at it. And let's see, so we see we have a little bit, it holds a lot more fuel now, even though in the last one we put 1 and it was like up to here. Now we put 4 and it's all the way down here. But let's turn this guy on and see what we're doing. See little sparkles in there now. Let's take a look at the sparkles, because that's new. That's actually new from when I first tested it. Right when it came out, it didn't have those sparkles, and that's just a newer version of Extreme Reactors. So now we're generating 303 RF per tick, which is even better. But we can do a lot better than that. So let's shut this guy off. Let us grab something. So you can throw all kinds of blocks around it to be cooling. One of the best is diamonds. So let's grab a bunch of these blocks. We'll go up here and we will, I don't know if I think I can get all of those in there if I just take out this one. No, actually, if I were to do this first, I think I can get it in there. Yeah. There. And then I can just put that back and then take this one out. And if I were to just stand in the right spot, I don't have to break any more glass. Beautiful. Love it, love it, love it. And oops, one more. And then put the last one in. Little tedious getting, oh, come on, I hit the wrong. I use a Razor Naga mouse, and it's got side buttons, and my thumb is rested on it, and I accidentally hit 2. Okay, let's fire this up now and see what we generate now that it's got active cooling. So 380-ish. It's not too bad. Not too bad. It also depends on what the multiplier is in your config settings. And it looks like the latest config has it set way down because this one typically does around 4,000 RF per tick. And so we're roughly 1/10 of that. So they might have the multiplier set to be 1/10. And you know, it all depends on, you know, FTB didn't install this. I installed it directly as download, and I didn't even check the config. So let me actually go check the config so we can find out what that is. So I want to find out. All right, be right back. All right, guys, I have figured out what was going wrong. First thing is that I rearranged this just a little bit. Remember, these guys were in the corners, and that left 2 sides exposed. If I move it just right in the center, now I've got 3 sides exposed to the cooling blocks, and it makes it just a tiny bit more efficient. So I moved these in from an X pattern into more of a diamond pattern. It just makes it a little more efficient. That didn't help much. It moved it from 380 up to 388. So it does help, right? A tiny, tiny bit, not a lot. But really what makes the difference is having full fuel. That makes a huge difference. Now watch. Yeah, there we go. Now it gets much hotter. The heat was staying really low, but we're still within a good amount, right? Now we're generating 4,000 RF per tick off of this bad boy. And, well, you can see how quickly this guy's filling up now. It's filling up much, much quicker. So that's what I want to see right there. Now, I actually dug through the code a bit and looked at all the different blocks. And so you can do everything from sewage, which we don't have in here. You can do milk, right, and as cooling. In the old days, we used to use liquid enderium, and that was really good. The best was cryothium liquid, and that was the absolute best. But it was only a tiny bit better than the melted down ender pearls. We don't have that yet. Enderium. It wasn't enderium. It was, yeah, maybe it was. I forgot exactly. There was so many liquids in 1.7 that and so many of them based on ender pearls that I think that's what it was. But anyway, here we have blocks, and the pretty much, you know, you got your gold, you got your, I think gold's a little bit better than iron, and then diamond's a little bit better than that, and that's what we're using right now, right? Diamond blocks. But there is one better, and that's the graphite blocks. So I tried this in the past, and you know, it just requires some of these, and it didn't work. But I think it might be cool to try out. So let's see if we can make some graphite. We're gonna need let's count up, because I really won't use graphite for anything else. So we have 3, 6, 9, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. All right, so we need 16 times 9. Let me look that up real quick. 16 times 9 is 144. Very proud if you could have done that in your head. So for those of you following along that did it in your head, nice. So let's go ahead and do, I don't remember how many I have in there, so we'll just go ahead and do 139. Good enough. And we'll let that guy craft, and it'll start dumping them in here, right? Multi-threaded, love it. Oh my gosh, that's so awesome. Now I did make my my pattern 3 and 3. That's because the alloy smelter can do 3 at a time, and so in theory it dumps in 3 coal. Now the input speed is a little bit too slow, so it really gets 1, and then it starts smelting that, and then the other 2 come in. So it helps some, but in theory that's better, right? It throws in 3 at a time to get 3 graphite bars back, and speeds it up. As it's going right now, right? It's already filled this all up, and so that'll be nice and quick. And we've got our 16 blocks. Let's head downstairs and let's replace all these. If I were to use vein miner on this, actually I can do this and I'll take them all out. If I use vein miner, it takes all the side glass as well, and yeah, I don't want to replace all the side glass, so that's why I'm going to do all these by hand. Let's see here. Yeah. Right click, not left. Doofus, jokester, come on. And then let's do this. And put these in here. And the magic of YouTube, we're done. Let's check it out. So we were 4.02, I think it was, right? Let's see what we are doing now. Fire it up. And let's see. Come on, build up, build up. Okay, so graphite's not quite as good in here. And that's what I noticed when I first tested this out. Like I said, I went through the code on the GitHub page and kind of found the code that dictated what was the best. Since there's no wikis out there right now for 110 version, I looked and it did say graphite blocks were even better, but it could be a different type of graphite. And, if another mod adds graphite, in theory, graphite is a pretty decent conductor. Anyway, without going into electricity, right? But it's definitely not quite as good. So there you go. Diamond is so far the best that I have found. And so if you guys have experimented with this and played around, that would be really cool to know what you found as the best coolant and therefore maximize this. Now we can also take this even higher. We could inset it into the floor. If I were to make the 7x7x7, then that would be even cooler, because then it would generate even more power. Now we don't need this, we know that, but it's a lot of fun, and I might set up a tiered stage where this guy runs for a while. We don't have a ton of Yellorite. It's been coming in slowly, but I have to go mining for that, and unfortunately the downside is that it's not extremely rare. It's fairly rare, but the downside is that I get a ton of other resources coming in with it that I don't really need and I don't really want at this point. I just want the Yellorite. Would really love to have Mechanisms digital miner, because that'll let you cherry pick what kind of ores you want in a particular area, and we might get to that in that reactor. And add that mod and get to that, but only time will tell. So we are wrapping up, and we have a great big reactor. Let's see, where can a good spot be? How about right here on top of the reactor? Maybe down here. Nope, that's not good. How about right there? There we go. All right, guys. Have a good one. Thank you very much for all your support you've given me. Welcome new subscribers. If you liked this video, give me a like. It really helps out in the YouTube search results. And other than that, have a good one. Hope you enjoyed this. Take it easy. Bye.